In the Bible, this precious, intimate love between a man and a woman is recognized and celebrated in all its aspects. The romantic attraction, the physical intimacy, the excitement of being close, the commitment of care, the making of a home, and also the prospect of a family. When God created a wife for Adam, and Adam understood all that it meant, he broke out in song. And it's part of God's creation, and certainly not something that we should overlook or hide or make into a taboo. But this intimacy of love is also a treasure to be protected. Here we hear the brothers of a young woman, a teenage girl, and they take responsibility for her and her intimacy. We have a little sister, and her breasts are not yet grown. But she is approaching puberty, and soon there will be young men after her, and she will long to be with a man. But it should be done in a way according to God's design. It should be done with deep personal commitment and in the proper social context. Their sister's beauty and body and her desires must be protected, and they make it their responsibility to do so. There's much wisdom there, and wisdom that the world tends to ignore and even flat out deny. Our longing for intimacy and our sexual desires are good, but they can also be misguided. And if we are not careful, they can drive us into all kinds of trouble. How easily is a young woman persuaded to share the treasure of her body with a man who will not take care of her? How many men feast their eyes on erotic images and actions without the commitment of a life of love? And the inevitable result of all that is that the God-given treasure of intimacy loses its shine, becomes less valuable, looks less valuable, and fails to bring the joy and fulfillment that it is supposed to bring. More often than not, it brings the opposite of what it seems to promise: heartbreak and pain and self-loathing. And that is why the seventh commandment is a blessing. The Lord gives it to us precisely to protect the deep enjoyment that He has designed for a man and a woman in their most intimate relationship, in which hormones and bodily attraction keep in step with affection and practical care and lifelong commitment. Those of you who are not yet married, you have much to look forward to. The Lord has made you not to be alone, and your longing for love and intimacy is part of His design, and it's good. Understand that it is a great treasure, one to be enjoyed, also one to be protected fiercely. Ask the Lord for wisdom to save it up patiently until you can enjoy it properly. It may seem old-fashioned, but remind yourself that your romantic feelings and your sexuality are meant not to be alone, but to be part of a relationship that is intimate in every aspect. A relationship of trust, a relationship with social aspects. So don't be a door. Don't aim at shallow fun. But be a wall, keeping your vineyard free from intruders until you can open the gate to the spouse that the Lord may give you. Some of you may feel marriage as a life sentence, as a burden. Some marriages have turned lackluster, sour, abusive, festering with hatred and resentment. How broken we sinners can be, especially in this regard. Pray that the Lord may give you a way to restore the treasure that you initially had, to reconcile and find peace, and yes, find enjoyment again in each other, in the person that you have made your promises to. Some of you may have faltered in your intimate life, in your commitments, and in your sexuality, or you may have been the victim of abuse. And then you can feel broken and dirty and fearful of commitment and jaded toward sexuality. And maybe you say, well, you call it a treasure and something beautiful and something designed good, but I cannot see it that way. There's pain and brokenness. And I pray that the Lord may give you healing. And that in spite of the sin and abuse that you have experienced, you may learn to see and enjoy again how precious this gift is. And some of you may have given up the hope of finding a spouse, or given up on improving a failed marriage. And that can feel like you're really stuck. And it may be that this will be a burden to bear for the rest of your life, an unfulfillment that does not go away, at least on this side of glory. Because here's something we should all keep in mind. And this is where hope is, even for those who will not be fulfilled in this life. While our sexuality and intimacy is a wonderful, good gift of our Creator, it's also, and always has been, a temporary thing, until it finds greater fulfillment in life eternal. When Jesus was asked about marriage in the new life, in the life after physical death, he said, we will be like the angels. We will not marry. There will be something greater than that. What it will be like, I have no idea. But you can be certain that the consummation of the love between the Lamb and his bride, between Christ and his church, at the heavenly wedding banquet, will bring a peace beyond all understanding.